Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I thought it would be really fun to film a little Q&A. So I asked you all on Instagram in the little question box to ask me any questions having to do with lifestyle, reading, books, etc. And you guys asked some awesome questions. So without further ado, let's get into it. First question is, how do I become a reader? Grad school killed my reading desires. So first, I just want to say congrats to you. Grad school is so difficult. I watched Eric, my boyfriend, go through grad school a few years ago, and I know how tiresome and exhausting and just how hard grad school is. But also, yes, I can absolutely understand how grad school would make you not want to read because all you probably feel like you're doing is reading and studying. But I also think that if you want to get back into reading, then you kind of have to shift your mindset and look at reading as something to do for fun as opposed to something that makes it like a chore. Like reading for homework is very different and feels much more like a chore than reading for fun. Like for example, I don't read textbooks. Like I don't read history textbooks in my free time. That's not fun. But what I do read is stuff that I personally find fulfilling and enjoy. So if you know that you like romance, try to pick up a romance book. If you know that you like thrillers, pick up a thriller. If you want to get back into reading, then you have to find the genre that you are the most drawn to. If you don't like mysteries, for example, don't pick up a mystery book. Like don't force yourself to pick up a book that you already know that you're not going to like just for the sake of reading. I actually have a video that I filmed a while ago on my channel that has more tips and tricks to help you get back into reading, but a few tips that I have off the top of my head too are also to start with novellas. So start with a book that isn't super long, because if you're gonna try to read a book that's like 500 pages, for example, that's kind of daunting. But if you have a book that's maybe like 100 or 200 pages and isn't this huge task that you feel like you need to accomplish, you will probably feel more inclined to pick it up and read. I would start small too. So give yourself the goal to read maybe 25 to 50 pages a day. I have read a few of Ali Hazelwood's novellas this year, and I highly recommend them because I think they were around 100 pages each. I also highly recommend the author Frida McFadden. She is a thriller and mystery writer, but her books just move really quickly. They're very fast paced, they're easy to read, and they're really fun to read too. Whenever I feel myself in a book slump, I can always count on Miss Frida to be able to deliver and give me a book that makes me excited to read again. What are my most anticipated reads for the rest of 2024 and 2025? So I would say that my most anticipated reads for the rest of this year, I want to finish the Zodiac Academy series. I am currently on book 7, and let me just say it has been an emotional roller coaster, this entire fantasy series. I highly recommend it. Honestly, it's getting me through until Onyx Storm comes out. I feel like I can't go into a lot of detail about this series without spoiling it. If you like enemies to lovers, if you like a unique magic system, if you like dark academia, then I would absolutely highly recommend this series to you. Also, every book is on Kindle Unlimited, which I think is fabulous. I have found some new favorite authors in this series, and I'm super excited to continue it. Now for the rest of 2024, a book that I'm actually going to start reading soon, which is right behind me, is Phantasma by Kylie Smith. I mean, just look at this cover. It is absolutely gorgeous. This is definitely an anticipated read for me. As soon as I heard that this was a dark, spicy fantasy romance, I said, say no more. All I know is that it is about this girl named Ophelia, and she has been entered into a contest called Phantasma, where she has different challenges that she has to survive through, and it's through like a haunted manor, which I just think sounds so cool and perfect for spooky season. A few other books that are just completely on my radar for the rest of this year, I would say right here, this is all like my immediate TBR. So I have Gothic Hannah. Me and my best friend Tiffany are going to buddy read this book. I would love to read My Dark Vanessa by the end of this year. I have The Coven, and right below it is The Curse. I bought these books from Barnes & Noble, honestly, because I thought the covers were gorgeous. So these are novellas too. I think these books are like under 200 pages. So these would be really great if you want to get into fantasy, but not commit to a giant series. And then also I really want to read Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Moving down, I have this book, which is also on my TBR for the end of this year. This is called The Forest Where the Phoenix Sleeps. This is a fantasy horror book. Moving down down a little further, also on my TBR for spooky season is A Dowry of Blood. This is a Dracula retelling from his wife's perspective. Now, I don't know when these books are going to be released, so I can't say if they are like for 2024 or for 2025. All I can say is that they are some of my most anticipated releases, and these books are going to be by H.D. Carlton. H.D. Carlton wrote Haunting and Hunting Adeline. As you all know, I'm obsessed with those books. I love them. I love H.D. Carlton. Anything she writes, I'm immediately going to read. So she has announced that Sibby, who is a character in Haunting and Hunting Adeline, is getting her own duet. She has not announced if those books will be released this year or next year. However, whenever she does release those books, I don't care what I'm reading, I will immediately drop them to read those books. And then she has also said that she has written a book called Phantom. Now, we have no idea what it's about. We have no idea when it's going to be released. I'm hoping this year. When Phantom releases by her, I will absolutely be reading that book as well. I have a note on my phone too that has my TBR for the end of this year and next year. So Onyx Storm, I mean, obviously that comes out in January. Like, that is going to be probably my biggest anticipated read for 2025. Also, a big one for me is Sunrise on the Reaping. That comes out March 18th. That is part of the Hunger Games world, and that is going to be about Haymitch's trials, which I just am so excited for that. And then I have some other random books that are on my radar to read in 2025. They've already released this year, but I'm probably gonna save those and talk about those in a 2025 TBR video. How many books have I read in total? Oh my gosh, honestly, I have no idea how many books I have like ever read, but let's look at my Goodreads and see how many I've read this year so far. I've currently read 56 books this year. My goal was 60, so I think I'm going to up that because, you know, I think I'm gonna hit that by the end of this year. But it looks like last year, so in 2023, I read 72 books total. Within the last year and 8 months, I have read 128 books. Now, some of these have been really long books, some of them have been very short books, some of these have been audiobooks, so I have really, I want to say, like, expanded my reading taste in terms of like genres as well as ways that I consume books as well. Not a question, but I just want to say that I love your videos and you really inspire me. Aww. Thank you. I love each and every one of you so much. Thank you so much for being here and watching my videos, whether it be here on my Julia Jean channel or my Jetting Julia channel. Like, it truly does mean the world to me. What is my all-time favorite book? Oh gosh, this is hard. I don't know. My first gut reaction is Fourth Wing, probably because that book is just so special to me. It has so much meaning to me. I read that book during a really difficult week in my life, and I feel like that book just really helped me escape and helped me cope with everything that was going on in my life at the time. I have a tattoo for that book. I don't know, there's just something about it that really just sucked me into the world. I love the magic, I love the dragons, I love the character Violet and how nobody really like believes in her, and she just always has this consistent and constant belief in herself and just this desire to prove everybody wrong, that she can survive this brutal world that she's thrown into. There's just something so cool about reading a character that has everything thrown against her, and yet she overcomes all of it, and she becomes so powerful and so strong, and she is also just like really funny and witty and smart and kind. She is just like the epitome of like the coolest character that you would want to be friends with. I had to get up to get my water because sometimes when I film these Q&As and I just yap, I get like really thirsty. So anyway, this is my Stanley Cup. I love it. It is Sarah J. Maas themed. Okay, next question. Do I prefer reading a physical copy of a book or listening to the audiobook? So I'm gonna say I prefer reading the physical copies of books. However, over the last few years, I definitely am enjoying audiobooks much more than I previously did. So I don't know what got into me, but for a long time I just could not do audiobooks. I don't know what it was about it. I just could not listen to them. But I think I'm learning to find my style with audiobooks, and I'm learning which ones specifically I like. So for example, if there's an audiobook that has the dramatized version of a book, I'm definitely going to choose that one. For example, right now I'm listening to the Fourth Wing Part 1 dramatized or graphic audio edition, and what that means is there's a full cast of actors. It's not just one person reading the book from start to finish. There's background noises, there's sounds, there's music, there's sound effects. It feels like watching a movie, but without the screen. So I guess you could say it feels like listening to a movie. So for me, listening to an audiobook like that really enhances the experience. Another audiobook that I loved was Listen for the Lie, because this book was like a mix between an audiobook and a podcast. So it felt like listening to both, which I thought was really cool. And I felt like by listening to that book instead of reading it, I had a better experience. Another audiobook that was phenomenal was Little Stranger. Joe Arden is an incredible voice actor in this. I mean, you want to talk about feeling like you're literally inside the mind of a madman? Listen to this. Check your triggers though, because it is a very, very, very dark and taboo romance. But oh my gosh, was the voice acting in this incredible. So I would say as a whole, I typically prefer to read the physical copy of a book. However, there are certain circumstances and certain instances, especially lately, where I am preferring to listen to the audiobooks. What is my favorite movie from a book? Oh, this is a good one. My first reaction is the Hunger Games series. So I loved those books, reading them in middle school. I still love those books to this day. Honestly, I should probably do a reread, but I thought the movies were incredible. I still love watching the movies to this day. So I'm definitely gonna say that my favorite movies from books are definitely just all of the Hunger Games movies. Also, it makes me cry every single time but Marley and Me. I mean, that movie is just awesome. Such a tearjerker, but man, I love that movie so much, and the book is really good too. I'm going to conclude today's little book Q&A right here, but if you guys have any other questions, please put them in the comment section below, and I will do my best to answer them. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being here and for watching. If you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe because I would love to see you again in future videos. I hope that you all are having a fabulous day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!